To make the elf, I'm going to start with some pale pink fondant, which I've made by adding a tiny bit of red to white and kneading it together. And I'm just going to roll this out into a nice round to cover the top of the cake. And I'm using a little cornstarch. My fondant is a little bit sticky, but I'm also going to make sure that I peel it up off the surface so it doesn't stick. I'm going to cut this out using my cake board because this is the right size. You can also use a bowl or a 4-inch cookie cutter. And I'm going to use a toothpick. A sharp knife works just as well to cut around the outside of the cake board. You can just clean up the edges, making it nice and round, and use a finger to smooth any edges around the sides too. I'm going to then pick this up and stick it right onto the top of my cake and use my fingertips to just smooth it out nicely on top. Now I'm going to make the elf's hat, and to do this I'm going to cut a crescent shape using, again, either a round cutter or half of a cake board as a guide. I'm then going to use a cake board or a cookie cutter to create this sort of crescent moon shape for the hat. Again, you can use a knife to do this, or a toothpick if you have one handy. I'm just using a finger to smooth the edges, and then I'm going to place this right on top of the pink fondant. And you can use a small dab of water if you want to make sure that it sticks, but if your fondant is at all sticky, then it will stick. Okay, I'm using my fingers to just press it down, and I've just folded over a little bit of the hat, and I'm going to make a little white pom-pom to add to it. At the same time, I'm going to make 2 eyes by taking a piece of fondant, breaking it into 2 equal size pieces. Each piece will get rolled into a bowl and then flattened into a nice round disc. And in a minute, I will add pupils to the eyes. At the same time, I'm going to make a little furry trim for the hat. So I'm going to take some more white fondant, roll it into a snake so it's sort of even. And then when I add it to the hat, I can trim away any excess. So I'm just going to squeeze away the excess. And then I'm going to use a small little dab of water so that this sticks nicely to the pink fondant, right up against the red part. Now I'm going to stick our little white pom-pom, and I'm going to stick the eyes to the face, again using a small little dab of water, which will act as glue. Now I'm just creating the pupils by using a tiny bit of brown fondant, which I've created by mixing equal parts of red and green fondant. I'm going to make 2 equal size bowls, and then as I stick them onto the fondant, I'll flatten them slightly. Now I'm going to make the elf's ears and nose. So first the nose, I've made a bowl, and then I've squeezed it slightly between 2 fingers, and I'm going to place it right under the eyes. For the ears, I want 2 equal size bowls of fondant, and I'm going to roll them into sort of a teardrop shape by applying slightly more pressure to one side so it comes to a nice point. These I'm going to slightly flatten just with the tip of my finger. And then I'm just going to add a little indent crease for the ear using my toothpick. Again, a small dab of water, and then I'm just going to stick those to the side of the face so they overlap with the trim of the hat. I'm going to make some eyebrows for the elf by taking a small piece of fondant. I'm going to roll it out so that I can cut it into an even shape. And then I'm just going to use my hands to shape it so it's slightly pointed and curved at one end. And then I'm going to add some texture with my toothpick. A little bit of glue, and I'll stick those above the eyes. And lastly, just a teeny bit of red fondant that I'm going to roll out thinly so that it's sort of nice and pointy at one end. And this is going to be our little elf smile.